Good morning, John. Thank you for coming in for a chat.
My pleasure, Graham. Thank you very much.
You're one of the lifetime member recipients for ACRA, which is a pretty esteemed group of people to get lined up with. We'll just run through a few questions, get some of your background.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
What first got you into remedial?
Well, I was transferred from South Africa by Fosroc, and when I arrived here I joined the company that was known then as Fosroc Expandite.
Yep. And
I went straight into a business management role in concrete repair and protection. So I was right into the industry. And then I guess later on I was recruited by Ian Godson, who's well known to the association. Ian brought me in as a business development manager for remedial engineering at the time.
Yep.
Some years later I joined Graham Roach at Finn International, the old Quadrant Building Services. To some people might still remember that name.
Yep.
And lo and behold, some years after that, Savcor bought Finn out to set up this like national group, which was quite a big thing, I reckon, at the time. And so I continued on in a business development role there, and estimating as well, I guess, until 2005, I think it was. I joined Graham and Peter Smith in Preservation Technologies, where I've been ever since. So that's really how I got into the game.
That was the start.
Yeah.
Good start. How's been a member of ACRA helped your career?
Well, it was kind of an interesting question, really, because this takes you back. You have to reflect on what you did and when you arrived in a new country. But I think it's fair to say that when I arrived here, I literally knew nobody in the industry. So starting out afresh and trying to make a name and make contacts, ACRA was fantastic for me, because by being on the board I immediately had contacts from the board members at the time.
Yes.
And then seminars and presentations and the like, it just really raised my profile in the industry and gave me a base to just be in touch with. And I think from Preservation Technologies, we took a little while before we joined as corporate members. I guess we wanted to make sure we had everything in place so that when we applied as a member, we would be accepted and not pushed back. And I think by being a member of ACRA with Preservation Technologies, it kind of said to us, well, and maybe said to the industry, well, these guys are serious about their industry, serious about their company, quality, delivery, good outcomes, and that to me was kind of the tick that we had arrived by being in the association, actually, believe it or not.
Because it's not just a walk-up start.
And well, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Which is a good thing. What about tips? Like, remedial jobs are not always easy, but how do you maintain your enthusiasm?
This was also an interesting question. Look, I think you just have to be enthusiastic about the industry that we're in, the job you're in. Dare I say, you might even have to love the job a little bit. Maybe not too much, but enjoy it. And I think that's important. If you're not getting that out of it, well, then you're not going to have longevity. And for me, the people that you meet, the different situations we get ourselves into, I just found that was interesting, and I guess that has fulfilled my time in the industry
for 20-something years, 30-something.
Well, no, not 30. maybe 20.
Just
25 anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you have a favourite remedial project, or even a project challenge that you've come across?
I suppose because as we just said, I've been in the game a long time, so there are a few. And again, thinking back, when I first started out, I think for me the release of what was then the new Renderock range of products back in the day was probably one of the highlights to start, because it got me into the industry in a big way. And the release of the products were new. There was I don't think there was any other products like them at the time in the country. So that to me was always a highlight, releasing that whole range. And that was quickly followed on, I think, by the release of the electrochemical repair techniques, realkalization and desalination. Again, by Fosroc, but with Fosroc International coming behind. And that involved us, trying to locate contractors in the country that we could target to take them to market. And we did. Unfortunately, the Australia didn't really adapt to those technologies. Probably there were some inherent characteristics of the industry that kind of stopped that being successful. CP being a really dominant electrochemical repair technique at the time, and still is, I think didn't give chloride extraction a chance. And in terms of realc, that could still be used today, but I guess just the market isn't there for it,
Technically, though, is it an issue of the cost-benefit ratios maybe swing towards CP?
Oh yeah, well, CP maybe was just a more, well, certainly there was there was more of a track record here, and there wasn't that much of a track record of desal, maybe, unless it was in car parks and the like in America or England. Whereas realc really, I think, had the opportunity to take off, and that's the one I suppose I'd be, if you wanted to say sad about, that didn't take off in the country, was realc. The desal, not such an issue, because CP is still here and is doing very, very well. But the realc, I thought, really had a chance to take off. But I guess one of the projects that I really enjoyed was with Savco and my dear old friend Atef Chiatani. We negotiated quite a large realc job for the Brisbane City Council on the Story Bridge. It's probably, I'm guessing, still the largest realc job done in the country. So, for me that was a highlight, shall we say, because you're trying to take a new technology to market, and then some years later down the track, with a contracting company, you have a chance to actually make it happen. Make it happen, exactly.
Nice work.
And with preservation, I mean, we've been around for 15 years. There's been many projects really that we're proud of, and I think rather than just listing out, this project, that project, whatever, it could be boring for people. I think on reflection, buildings that you go back to and go back to and go back to, they're the ones I think you can be most proud of. Even if they're small jobs, they're not all big, it's the relationship. And actually I look at on the wall here behind you, Graham, with the Tarquin building in Fairlight. That to me stands out as that type of a building that I'd be proud of, because we've been there doing $2,000 jobs, $5,000 jobs, $1 million+ jobs, and that's because of the workforce, our workforce, the delivery of quality, and the relationship that you build up. And to me, that really are the projects that you should be proud of.
Fair comment. What about the flip side? Any jobs you really regretted getting?
Well, thankfully, on the contracting side, no disasters so far. I think all contractors would say, and consultants know, because you manage the projects, you have issues from time to time. You just got to get in, manage them, do the right thing for the project, do the right thing for the client, and basically look after everybody and not walk away from a problem. But in terms of an absolute disaster, no, not yet. And hopefully never. And personally, I think there was no real, bad decisions that I've made along the way. I've made a number of rash, quick decisions about moving from one position to another, and they've worked out. So far.
So the flip side works. Let's have it right. A few years' time, yourself in the business?
Well, 25 years plus in, I think it's fair to say that I'm on the home straight. When you get one of these lifetime awards, you're not starting out in an industry, you're heading out the door. So I've got maybe a couple of more years with Preservation Technologies in a full-time capacity. And I think thereafter we'll just do a bit less and less, and I'll probably do a bit of consulting. And from the company itself, we'll be handing the reins over to, and have handed the reins over to, younger guys in the organisation. So the company will continue.
Okay. Succession
as we head off into the sunset.
That's right. Nice work. What about concerns about the building industry? Have you got a a criticism?
I think we would all agree that the general building quality in new construction has a lot to be said for. We are the beneficiaries of it in our industry, but it's not a good look at all. So that's from the general, I think, building side of things. Within our own organisation, or our own, I should say, industry sector, I just think there's too many players.
Okay.
Because it's an easy point of entry, I think, to the general industry. Yeah. So if you look back 10 or 15 years ago, there was nowhere near the number of companies that there are now in the game. And some of the new entrants, may not be as wise or have gone through issues that we've all gone through in the past. And I think one of the downsides of it is that it's driven the price point down. Now, many people would say, well, that would be typical for a contractor to be saying that, oh yeah, that the prices are too low. But I just say to anybody, check out concrete repair pricing 10, 15 years ago, and look at what it is now. It's probably lower now, which makes no sense. 10 or 15 years down the track.
All the safety
so
stuff.
what does that tell you? And maybe a final thought on that as well, and it's kind of linked to what I was just saying. The association promotes clients to go to consultants, to create a spec, to go to contractors, and that's a good formula. But in our industry, we're particularly the strata industry, where you've got, let's say, strata managers with a lot of power, and they're putting the work straight to contractors. Now, if the contractors are some of the newer entrants, whatever, there's no spec, there's no nothing. Does the client get value for money or not? So I see that as a real issue, that it should, as an issue that is becoming more and more, I think, where you're getting people marketing to the strata managers, not marketing to the consultants. To get that direct linkage, so you get strata manager, contractor, job done, and it's not the best. Yeah,
it has challenges.
So I suppose that's something that the association can work on for the future.
Yeah, that's it. Some re-education. Perhaps. What about ACRA in 5 years or 10? Where would you?
Look, I think the association has grown dramatically. It's fantastic. I'd like to be a very national, truly national organisation. I think, as you would. I think that's really the goal. That it's not just New South Wales centric, really. I mean, I guess it has moved more than that in the years, and I've been out of it a little bit. But to be a truly national organisation, where you're getting seminars, training, even accreditation, would be a good thing. Another part of it, I guess, would be whereby I think the auditing and the assessment of people coming into the organisation, that level is kept high, or maybe even higher, or it's a regular assessment. It's all well and good. I remember back in the day, one of my jobs on the board was getting membership, right? And we were, there was a team of us, Dennis and I think Grant were there as well. And we were hunting to get members in, but that's well and good to a point. You still want to make sure that you're getting quality members in, because we're all going to use the ACRA brand in our marketing. So ACRA has a lot to lose if it's just going for members and not going for the auditing side. That's right. So I think that is something to look at. Okay. So that'll be jobs for the future president.
For the job there is an incoming president year after next. We've got plenty on our plate at the moment.
I should imagine.
We are working towards that national representation and improving everybody in general. The industry needs it. Construction as well. Well, that's probably about it.
That's fine.
We've done, so thank you again, John.
25 years, just like that.
25, what the hell happened?
Exactly.
Where's the hair gone?
I know, it was.
So, you probably should say COVID congratulations.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Thank you.
So for memory, for posterity,